Hey, what's going on? Nick here from virtualassistantassistant.com. Today, I'm joined by Sebastian, who works in business development for Bench. It's a virtual bookkeeping service. So we want to dive into what exactly that means, how it works, and why you might consider Bench for your business. So, Sebastian, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nick. Great to be here, and I'm excited to talk to your audience about Bench and how we help small businesses.
You bet. Maybe start us off with that 30-second elevator pitch on what it is and why people should care.
Sure. So the way that I like to describe Bench to people is that it's like having a bookkeeper without having somebody actually sitting next to you. So Bench provides you with professionally prepared books each month, and they're prepared by a team of professional bookkeepers that work in our headquarters in Vancouver, BC, same office that I do. We'll provide you with those books every month, and then at the end of the year, we'll do a year-end review and put those into a tax package that we can send straight off to your CPA, so you can get your taxes filed quickly and easily. So a lot less hassle than trying to do your own books through a software that is just not intuitive and not super easy to use, and a lot less hassle than trying to deal with a one-man bookkeeping operation with spotty communication.
So your books are prepared every month. So I imagine you're granting access to different accounts receivable, like as stuff is coming in. In my case, that would be usually like business checking, and then PayPal is like my main two receivable channels, occasionally paper checks, but then those go into the business checking account. Is there like a secure system, or like obviously you've done this for hundreds of clients at this point, but like how does that work mechanically?
It depends on the bank. For a lot of banks, we now integrate with a service called Plaid. And Plaid basically just patches transaction data from certain accounts just straight into the Bench ecosystem once you log in and authenticate your accounts within Plaid. If Plaid is not an option with your financial services provider, then there's kind of one of two options. One is that we have a statement importer, and so that'll import the bank statements at the end of each month, and we'll reconcile straight off those. And if that is also not an option, then this is getting into like a very small percentage of very, very small credit unions now, then what we'll get you to do is just upload the statements each month to a quick link there's a page in the Bench app that you can upload them to, or there will be a unique email address associated with your Bench account. So you can just forward an email with the statements attached to that email address.
Okay. Have you found there's a sweet spot of like the type of customer that you want to work with, or that's an ideal client or industry? I'm thinking like my business is drastically different from like a brick and mortar coffee shop. Like would we both be a good fit for Bench?
So the range of people that we work with is really, really broad. The key principle of the people that we help is the people whose business is just like, they didn't, I would imagine that you didn't start virtual assistant to be a bookkeeper, to run a website and be a bookkeeper on the side. And most founders did not start their business to run a business and be a bookkeeper on the side. So whatever shape that business takes there's kind of myriad options. We work really well with legal and medical offices. We work well with e-commerce sellers, sole prop consultants, marketing agencies, coffee shops and restaurants. So it's kind of quite all over the map when it comes to the number of people that we can work with. And they're typically smaller businesses. It's typically in that stage of people moving off of a DIY solution, sometimes moving away from the one-person bookkeeper they were using, or moving to Bench because having their CPA do their books is extremely expensive, because they'll charge CPA rates to do much less technical work than you need to pay CPA rates for.
Okay.
So
it's not necessarily tax preparation here. It's just kind of like, we're going to keep your accounts in order so that you can hand that off to your accountant when the time comes.
Precisely, yeah. So we specialize in financial reporting and preparing the books. Now, we do offer a tax filing service in conjunction with our partner Tax File. That is called Bench Tax.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, should you use Bench and decide you would like to use Bench Tax for tax filing, we can get your taxes filed as well. We can help with some incorporation services. But if you're just subscribing to Bench, then what we specialize in is financial reporting, preparing the books each month.
Okay, gotcha. So that makes sense. Offer that up. So if people want to, they can get that all under one roof. The typical like pricing plan based on the number of transactions or number of entries, like if I'm swiping like, $4 orders of coffee all day long, like that might look very different from my wife, for example, who's a wedding photographer. And they're like, will do 10 weddings a year, and it's like
Right.
a single like, I mean, it's easy. Their books are very easy. I don't know, like how does that work?
So we've tried a bunch of different models, and one of the things about building a scalable bookkeeping solution is that like you have to find a way to serve as many people as effectively as you can. And the model that we've settled on over time that works best for us is it's based on the monthly expenses of the business. So it depends on the operating expenses of the business as in a dollar quantity. So you'll
Okay.
see that some of our packages run from, we have a boutique package that runs from 7.5 to 20K. There's brackets, and so that's the way that we found gives the best indication of complexity for bookkeeping work for us.
Okay, based on what you're spending, rather than based on what you're bringing in or the quantity of transactions that you're bringing in. Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any um, like software requirements on the client side that they're going to have to sign up for or buy a license for?
No, we're a software as a service company, so and we're a cloud delivered one. So you can get into the Bench app at bench.co. You can always just go and log in there from any web browser, or you can use our iPhone app.
Okay. Do you find people are coming to you from, I've been doing this myself in Excel, or I've been doing this myself in a shoebox, or it's like, I tried to use QuickBooks and like it just didn't work for me. Where are people on the spectrum and they're like, forget it, I'm just going to hire a service.
So that's the most common place that people come to us from is DIY of
Okay.
some sort. A lot of people from QuickBooks, and a lot of people from just trying to use accounting softwares that at the end of the day you have to have some sort of fundamental accounting knowledge
Yeah.
to kind of understand how they work and really use them properly. People don't start the businesses that they are really passionate about growing to also be a bookkeeper on the side, and that ends up becoming something you have to do until you can outsource it. So hiring someone full time is down the scale of growth, and we hope that every business that comes to Bench eventually gets big enough to hire their own bookkeeper and outgrow Bench. But in the
Yeah.
interim, we want to be able to serve that market.
In the sweet spot in the middle, we're there for you. I
And
don't
we
know. I'm the
are.
weird guy who like as long especially when business is good and there are receivables coming in. Like I love doing the bookkeeping stuff. Anybody that you found over the years that was just like not a good fit, nightmare client. Like if you're watching this, don't sign up for the service if you fall into these categories, stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're an investment services company and you need constant tracking on capital gains or the appreciation and depreciation of invested assets,
Okay.
then that's something that we just have a really really hard time serving as a remote solution. There are a couple of other businesses also, like farms are another example where there's actually some pretty complex rules that the IRS has around tracking and depreciating cattle. And so when it comes to cattle depreciation expertise, we are
Okay.
that's kind of a niche of the market that we haven't really found a way to scale.
Don't want to touch that one. Okay. How
No,
about
so
like real estate people, like landlords? If you got multiple properties, stuff like that.
we do work with real estate properties and companies. I mean, a lot of people will establish, they'll have a real estate holding company and then establish separate LLCs for each different property. That's a pretty common structure.
Yeah.
We certainly work with those companies. For some companies, they find that it makes sense to sign up with Bench. For some companies, it makes sense to explore other options. The best option at that point is just to give us a call and talk to us, and we'll be honest with you if that's going to be the best solution.
Is there a particular certification that your bench bookkeepers have to have before they onboard and are allowed to start working with clients?
So there's no certification like there's no legal U.S. required certification for working with and preparing books. For filing taxes, there are certifications that one would need, but like I said, that like the core Bench service is not a tax filing service. But all of our books and all of our processes are on rails around IRS guidelines. Like we're strict
Okay.
around doing it around the IRS guidelines for books. So we're not just making up ledgers here and throwing numbers at walls. Like this is all done on rails to IRS guidelines. And that's one of the big value adds of working with a company like Bench, like where you have hundreds of people who are on really well codified and defined processes to deliver IRS ready books.
Right. Rather than saying, oh, my neighbor's friend is an accountant and he does people's books on the side. Like he may be totally legit, but here's a company with hundreds and hundreds of clients and a process in place to deal with all that stuff. Well,
100%.
Sebastian, very much appreciate you giving us the inside scoop on Bench. We've got a special offer for virtual assistant visitors, which is subject to change. So we'll link that up below the video, or details of that below this video. But really appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you very much, Nick. Great talking to you, and we'll talk soon.